Well, guys, I think that's enough of that. Look, why have I started with the harmonica? Well, I think there's a lot of music, a lot of sweet music that's created because of leadership. So I was just contemplating the other day and I thought, a great analogy. So I wanted to share with you 3 must-dos when it comes to leadership. Now, these are must-dos that I've seen consistently over 20 years in dealing with leaders. 3 must-dos, and I'd also like to share with you 5 systems that I see consistent, again, in high-performing teams, high-performing cultures, and, of course, high-performing leaders. So let's just run quickly through the 3 must-dos. The first must-do is, you know, if you go to an orchestra and you've got a whole range of instruments there, if you don't know your own instrument, you stuff the whole show up. So the first lesson is, or first must-do, is know yourself. You know, what is it about me? What do I bring into this orchestra? What things that drive me? What are my values? What are the things I value most? What gets me out of bed? What's my behavioural style? I use a number of profiles, in particular a DISC profile and a flexibility profile, to help leaders to understand, wow, that's what I bring to the table. That's a real insight, particularly when it's been given to me by other people. So, you know yourself is the first must-do. The second must-do is knowing others. If you're playing in an orchestra, you need to know, well, okay, what are the other resources out there that I can use? You know, how can we bring all of these instruments together so that we're playing something really sweet? So it's about knowing other people. How well do you know other people? How well can you read other people? And the best leaders are leaders that can read other people and read, you know what, this is what motivates this person. This is going to help them get on board when it comes to this project. So the first must-do, know yourself. The second must-do, know others. Know what makes other people motivated, what gets them out of bed, what are their values, what are their dreams, what are their aspirations. And the third, of course, and this is what you've been looking forward to, of course, is conductor. Someone's got to be the conductor. Great leaders seem to be able to be good conductors. They're able to bring the diversity of that orchestra to produce something absolutely fantastic. And it's a real skill. And they're the things that I've identified, and they're the things that I've actually integrated into the processes that I use at Bridgeworks. So they're the 3 must-dos. Know yourself, know others, and be able to be the conductor to bring that diversity together into something that's really sweet. What I wanted to share with you now are 5 systems that I have seen repeated in 20 years in dealing with business. Now, these are rippers because they're so critical. And the first is habits. Good leaders have good habits, good routines, good systems, good processes. You know, we're all at habits, and some we wouldn't want to share. But you know what? Good habits are able to say, you know what, these are the things that really make me start the day on the right foot with the right attitude. And that makes a massive difference. I'm sure when you work with other people, the best thing you want is that person to walk through with that right attitude. And you know what? That comes from habits. It comes from being focused on what's important to you. Where am I going? What's my goal? What's my vision? How can I share that in a way that actually gets the rest of this orchestra happening and making things around me? So that's the first system I've identified around habits. The second system I've identified is what I call watering the garden. Now, what that means is spending time in the day, and I know some of you are not going to like this, wasting time. So actually diarise wasting time. No agenda, no meetings, no KPIs, just getting off your tush and getting around your people. And people appreciate that so much more. So if you want to ask me, Wayne, how can I get 30% more out of my people? You know, just that system alone, I think, will get you pretty close to that. And that's watering the garden. It's showing interest in people. You know, it's interesting, but people tend to leave managers, not jobs. And watering the garden helps you to build that bridge with your people. The third system, which is an interesting one, it's based on a book called Flight of the Buffalo. So there's 2, we're actually studying 2 groups of animals. One is a herd of buffalo. And a herd of buffalo is sort of like your old style management. So you've got one boss, he's the font of all knowledge and good and all the rest of it. Now hunters are very good on this one because they know if they can knock out the chief buffalo, so if they can identify and knock that chief buffalo out, the rest of the herd are lost. And it's just easy field to then go and capture the rest of the buffalo because they've lost their manager, their leader. But the difference is with the flight of the buffalo. So we're talking now flight. We're talking about the flight of the geese. Now, probably many of you heard this story, but geese, they work together when they're flying through the air, so that they rotate the point. So it's not always the same leader at the front. The leadership rotates, and people are sharing the load. And how much do you share your load? Do you go back and you go from back home from a hard day at the office, and you're working really long hours and you're just getting worn down. Well, maybe you're a bit like that buffalo. Maybe you need to start thinking smart. Well, what can I do? What system or process can I put in place so that we're creating a culture around, that flight idea, that we're sharing the leadership, and it all comes back to that orchestra and getting the best out of the people. The fourth system, which I've noticed, which is consistent across all the leaders I've dealt with over the last 20 years, is this thing called optimism. Now, let's get this really clear. It's not me being optimistic about everything around my day, even when things are crook. It actually comes down to my attitude when things don't go right. I believe that people follow more optimistic leaders than pessimistic leaders, wouldn't you? But it really comes down to the crunch. When things happen, when there's a failure or a project goes off the line, it's how we deal with it. What's our attitude in dealing with that problem, that failure? And the leaders that tend to be optimistic tend to say, okay, guys, it's gone off the tracks here. What can we learn that can make us stronger and to get us closer to that goal that we keep talking about? And and that's the difference. And that's the fourth thing. So it's about being optimistic. The last system, which I've noticed consistent across the businesses I've worked with, and these are high-performing businesses, high-performing cultures, is about rewarding the wins and celebrating the wins along the way. And you know what? Often it is celebrating the failures too, because often failures are opportunities for people to try things different. So again, depending on how we handle it as a leader, that's going to actually build a high-performing culture, or it's going to burn one. And I know that you guys want to be able to build that high-performing culture, that whole high-performing team. Guys, love sharing that with you, but the real good oil comes in my next video, because I'm going to take you somewhere special. I'm actually going to take you to my bathroom. And in the bathroom is one of the most powerful tools of leadership. So I'm really looking forward to sharing that one with you. Thanks, guys. I'll go back to practicing my harmonica. Cheers.